Thank you for creating time to attend this webinar. With me here, our presenter today is Mr. Isaiah Opio, and he'll be taking us through today's session, which is building wealth and pre-retirement planning. He is a financial advisor and retirement planning expert. So for any questions, any clarifications, and any queries, please, you can be writing them down. You can chat them in the chat box. Then he will respond to them at the end of the presentation. So at this point, as we kick it off, I would like to invite our credit manager. Somebody confirm that you are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you, Dr.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So at this point, allow me to invite our credit manager, that's Madam Elizabeth Kimanthi. I'm sure most of us have interacted with her at some point. She's going to give us an update on our different loan products so that we are aware where we are. And the presentation will take roughly around 10 minutes. And then from there, we continue with our business of the day. So welcome, Elizabeth, to take us over.
Thank you so much, and good evening to our members. I will be taking you through some of our loan products. We are a one-stop financial partner for doctors, their spouses, and employees with a variety of innovative financial solutions. I will first be taking you through our development Flexi Loan. Our development loan and Flexi Loan are designed to enable you own and run your hospital, equip your hospital, buy land, build your dream home, source of working capital. Features for the development loan: it was revamped to a multiplier of ×4 of your SACCO deposit. One can be able to boost up to 25% of their existing SACCO deposit in the event they want to do a huge project and their current deposits are not enough. For the Flexi Development Loan, it is ×5 of your SACCO deposits. However, you're not allowed to boost. The development loan interest is at 1% on reducing balance, and the Flexi Development Loan is at 1.16 on reducing balance. Both loans have flexible repayment period of up to 120 months, depending with the loan amount applied. We have flexible loan security, whereby members can use their member deposits, guarantors, and collateral when applying the loans. Members can also refinance once they have paid a third of the principal amount borrowed. We also have our emergency loan. This is a safety net for our doctors. If you have any sudden expenses, we got you covered. Family, medical, travel, any kind of emergencies. Our emergency loan is up to $1 million. Quick processing, up to 24 months repayments. Security is your member deposits or guarantors. We have midterm development loan. In the event that you need more money after acquiring a development loan or a Flexi Development Loan, and probably you've already taken the emergency loan whose limit is $1 million, you can still apply for a midterm development loan, which is ×3 of your SACCO deposits. Interest is at 1% on reducing balance. The loan can be paid up to 36 months. Flexible loan security, which is member deposits, guarantors, and collateral. The benefits of the midterm development loan is that it can be able to run parallel with the development or Flexi Development Loan. So you can have both loans at the same time, depending with your ability to pay. We have our asset financing. This is for purchasing any new assets a member is interested in. Purchase of hospital equipment, purchase of land, motor vehicles, the interest is at 1.16%. The SACCO will finance the member 2/3 of the value of the asset, and the member will pay 1/3 to the vendor. We usually offer valuers from our pre-qualified valuation for the valuation process. The security for the asset financing will be the asset being purchased by the member. We have equity release loan. This one, a member benefits because they're able to borrow against the property they already own. A member can borrow up to the for sale value of collateral provided at an interest of 1.6% per month, repayable up to 120 months, depending on the amount applied. Valuation is done by our pre-qualified valuers. The property should be owned by the borrower or maybe a spouse. However, in that case, we will need consent in form of affidavit to be allowed to use the property as collateral. The property will be the collateral. Also, we want to bring to attention that members are now able to pay directly to their SACCO deposits accounts through our pay bill number 54900. You'll use your keyword followed by your membership number. For example, if you're paying for deposits, you will do DEP. If your membership number is 9005, then for development loan, DEV 09005. For emergency, EMG 9005. We have different keywords for all our products in the SACCO, and the same has been shared to our members. In case of anything, you can always contact the office for further clarification. Thank you so much. Back to you, Dr. Chao.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for the wonderful presentation. And members, as we are aware, the more loans we take, any interest to make out of it, that is 100% our interest. So that means we'll be improving on our dividends. But the profits we make from other sources, they are taxable, the government of Kenya. So at this point, I would like to invite our presenter of the day, Mr. Isaiah Opio, who is a training consultant specializing in personal financial management, passionate about equipping individuals with knowledge and tools they need to achieve financial stability and growth. His focus is on simplifying money matters. That's ranging from budgeting, savings, debt management, and investing, so that people can make practical, informed decisions about their finances. So over the years, Opio has designed and facilitated financial literacy workshops, corporate employee trainings, and community programs that empower participants to take charge of their money and build long-term financial resilience. His approach blends real-life case studies, interactive exercises, and practical solutions, ensuring that learning goes beyond theory into everyday application. Areas of training and expertise include budgeting and personal financial management, debt counseling, credit management and responsible borrowing, saving strategies and entry-level investing, pre-retirement and retirement planning, pre-retirement financial training. Currently, Opio is part-time facilitator with Retirement Benefits Authority. So at this point, allow me to welcome Mr. Isaiah. Mr. Isaiah, please, karibu, and take it over.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Isaiah Opio. I'm going to be your presenter today. Dr. Cha, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So thanks so much for this opportunity to come and share with you. And in the interest of time, I know I've been introduced a trainer, and I've actually been a trainer for quite a while now. I think most of the time I've met some of you in certain forums or maybe during retirement trainings, because I'm a part-time trainer for Retirement Benefits Authority, and certain times they organize forums and call people from different organizations. And I've been the one doing in the area of personal finance since 2020. So it's been a season of also learning from the participant as well. But that notwithstanding, today we are just going to be talking about building wealth and pre-retirement planning. And of course, most of the time when people are invited for retirement training, most of them are always feeling like, why were we invited here? Does it mean these guys want to kick us out? But when handled from a SACCO point of view, it's better because one, there is no employer involved here. Everybody's in here for their personal financial growth. Having been introduced, I'll just go direct to the presentation. The key areas we're going to be discussing this evening are going to be three. Sorry, I didn't edit that one there. Building and growing wealth, preparing for retirement, and securing retirement future with the SACCO solutions. One of the things that is coming clear, which is I'm a member of a SACCO and I've been a member for the last 15 years. So I'm not from out there. I know and I've gained from the SACCO. And today I can actually tell anybody out there, a SACCO can be or should be a lifetime partner. And lifetime financial partner. Let me not put just partner. So many things can come. Lifetime financial partner. And what does this mean? This means that today, when you get employed, you can start saving or can join a SACCO. With the SACCO, you can actually plan how to educate your children. With the SACCO, you can actually organize or plan how to own a home. With the SACCO, still within your lifespan, you can still partner with the SACCO for investment, and at the same time, you can actually be able to achieve your retirement plan through the SACCO. Today, we are just going to talk about how then can we be able to, in terms of training objective one, how do we apply wealth building strategies? And then number two, how do we align our income with our financial goals? And then number three, how do we evaluate retirement options that are available out there, but also through the SACCO? And then number four, how do we leverage SACCO as a lifelong partner? Another thing that I've also identified is that there are people, just like people move from one bank to another, there are people who move from one SACCO to another. And this means today is in SACCO A, another day is in SACCO B, another day is in SACCO C. But that is actually wasting a lot of financial muscle. The best thing to do, you identify a good SACCO and here it's good that KMA is one of the best SACCOs, because I'm also very conversant with what happens in the industry. You can actually leverage, even as you join, you can actually leverage on KMA as a lifelong partner. But then, as we discuss, let us ask ourselves, even as we go through this training today, we need to ask ourselves, what financial stage are you today? What financial stage are you today? And how has it influenced your retirement plan? And what opportunities and challenges do you face? So if you look at financial life, there are around 5 financial life stages. And these 5 financial life stages, it all depends on where you are today. So if you look at the first one, and this is usually for people who are joining employment from college, what we call the early career. That is the guys between 20 to 30. I'm going to tell you more about it. Then the second one is about establishment phase, that is. And then the midlife stage, then pre-retirement, and then retirement. So you'll actually be able to know where are you in this whole ecosystem, where are you? So let's start with the guys who are in early career. In early career, and here we're talking to those who are in their 20s to 30s. At this particular point, you establish your career, you start to save and invest, and also establish what we call the financial foundation. One of the key areas of actually establishing financial foundation is joining a SACCO, because at the end of the day, the money or the contribution you save in a SACCO is something you can actually be able to have for a long time. But if you join a bank today, you have your savings. And during this time, I'll give an example. During our time when we were in this 20 to 30, I could actually use my bank to save. And what would happen is the day when I'm broke in town and I feel like eating something, I would get in and like, sasa hii gari kinigonga saa hii, most of the guys would actually use this money on my behalf. Why can't I just slash even 2,000 and I go and actually treat myself? So I found it at the end of the day, it was very, very difficult to actually save in the bank without having a separate account. During that time, I was also saving using my salary account. And I found myself cheating a standing order. And cheating a standing order means I would I would put a standing order because that time we were being paid on 28th, and I would put the standing order for 29th. But then before 29th ifike, I would go to the bank and then I withdraw the money. By the time the standing order comes, I've already actually withdrawn the money. At this early career, the benefit with this stage is that you can mess up and still be able to recover. Unfortunately, sometimes at this particular time we rely on parental support. So most people, and I've trained a lot of Gen Zs today, you ask them, where does your money go? It tells you one, I don't pay rent, I don't pay anything in the house. Me, I stay with my parent. My parent still even the one giving me money or fare to work. Then also at this early career, there's also what we call celebrity lifestyle. You only live once. At this point, they don't care. It's like I don't need to have a saving. Why should I have a saving when life is not promised? I mean, you can actually be knocked by a vehicle and then you die. And then at this point, there's also what we call reckless spending, where there's no saving at all. And I'll give an example. At this particular stage, there's a time I had poached by an organization, and this time around, I was given a position as a manager. So before I was given this position as a manager, because I was being given 3 times, what happened is I decided to go. I moved from a house where I was paying 5,000 to a house where I was paying 10,000 because my salary had actually tripled. And unfortunately, during this particular time, after migrating from a house of 5,000 to 10,000, I then decided to go and buy furniture, new furniture. I stocked the house. I went and bought a flat screen, not with a salary, but I went and took a loan from one of the banks, and I can actually confidently say it was Equity Bank. So this was within the first 6 months. I'd already moved from house from 5 to 10. I was that time before that I used to live in Githurai 44. Then I said, you know what, life must start. So I went to stay in Umoja and I got a house where I was paying 10,000 and I furnished my house and everything was good. Unfortunately, there's something that I did not look into in the sense that I had not been confirmed yet. After 6 months, by the time I was supposed to be confirmed, the company actually announced retrenchment. And one of the guys who was being retrenched was myself. So what did I do? One, I found out during the time that I was earning 3 times, I was not saving. Then at the same time, during this time, my saving, because before that I was saving 5,000, but after that I was not even saving any coin. I used to struggle going to work. And before even that, I decided to hire a car in town, a taxi in town to take me to work because by that time I was made a commercial manager. And I found myself living kind of a celebrity lifestyle to show up as a manager. Unfortunately, during this time when we were kicked out, I saw my furniture being taken by the landlord. I saw my house being locked. I saw my clothes being taken. And it was really a very tough time. So during this early career, you can still unaweza anguka, then you still rise again. But the people this is the time or the stage to actually create a strong foundation. And creating a strong foundation means you join a circle, and you don't just join a circle. You join a circle with a financial goal, which is what I'm going to talk about as well. Then we have the establishment phase. These are the 30s to 40s. You're in your 30s and 40s. The year at this particular point, there's advancement in career, promotion, and all that. At this particular point, there are people already saving for home ownership. Umenunua kashamba mahali, then also growing investment portfolio. Uko na money market fund pale, uko na kasako pale, and maybe other investment opportunities there. Unfortunately, at this particular point, this is what we call saving without a financial goal. And saving without a financial goal means today, if you are to ask, and I'll challenge the committee here, if you ask members to tell you why they decided to join a SACCO and what has actually influenced their bare minimum. And why am I saying this? A while back, I went up country, and my mom stays in the village. So during this time, one morning she woke up, one of our neighbors had died, and so she was actually going to collect contribution. They call it kunyirikendi. Kunyirikendi inamaanisha in Kiswahili jizike. So when I asked her, how much are people contributing? And she told me 20 shillings. And I asked 20 shillings for how many homes will you have to walk around for you to be able to collect a significant amount? And there are people who contribute more, and told me no. People are contributing the bare minimum, which is 20 shillings. I always make this joke that anybody who is contributing the bare minimum in a SACCO, it's like somebody joining, how do you call it, Jizike. Because you're just paying the bare minimum because everybody, that is what was said. So how should our financial plan influence what we contribute when we join a SACCO? Number one, you ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? And maybe you want to buy something, maybe a piece of land, maybe worth 300,000. During the time you join, you ask yourself, how long can it take me maybe to contribute 100K, 100,000 in a situation where it is 3 times your total saving? By the time you're joining, you already know within this number of months, I want to have taken a SACCO loan to purchase that parcel of land. So that is what influences what your bare minimum. So at this particular point, people save without a goal. I'm joining a SACCO because someone has joined. And also what we call huge debt lifestyle pressure. People want to stay in the certain neighborhood. Oh, I can't stay in Eastlands anymore. My friends will see me. I need to move to this other side. Also, I need to go to Kitengela, whether I'm renting into Kitengela, or I go to Kilimani, whether I'm renting in Kilimani. So, and then here at this particular point, there are people who take car loans as well. They want to actually have the brand new cars as well. And then the last bit here is what we call idle capital, where we are buying down strategic plots. I remember this one particular time we were invited in a men's church fellowship one Saturday. And one of the members came with an idea that, you know what, I have a parcel of land, the certain parcel of land. We as men, we are the prophets of our houses. So we need to actually try to invest to secure for our family. During that time, what happened is we were being told there were certain parcels of land that were being sold at 100,000. These parcels of land, when I looked at them, the guy was saying that we have they were going for 1 acre was going for 100,000. They were like, hey guys, there are 50 acres in Isiolo at 100,000 each. And I looked at it like, okay. We are buying a piece of land in Isiolo. Isaiah, for you to come from Nairobi to go and see the land in Isiolo, you would have spent like 5K. Kwenda na kurudi, another 5K. And you also need to spend there, would have also spent around 5K. Again, the next time you'll be going there again, you'll also spend another 15K. By the time you're done with 5 visits, you've already consumed even almost 3 times, almost a third of the investment. So now strategic plot, and I know today if you ask people in the middle class or working class, you ask them, is there anyone here who has a parcel of land? You'll be shocked. Everybody has a parcel of land in that corner, karibu na mto, there is no road there and all that. And I'm one of them. I'm going to share with you what happened to me. So at this particular, we also waste a lot of energy investing in what we call idle capital or what we call non-strategic plots. Then the next category, the midlife stage, and here we talk about the 40s and 50s. And here, one time if God allows, at this, I usually train people in this stage here. We call it how to manage midlife financial crisis. Now, at this particular stage, you are in your peak. If you are at this particular time, you are a manager, you are either a director or top leadership up there. So the earnings is good at this particular point. Unfortunately, because of high earning, there's a possibility when retrenchment or reorganization comes, nyinyi ndio you are actually the target most of the times, unless you are part of the decision making process. Then at this particular time, most people venture into passive income. If at this particular point you've never faced any retrenchment at this particular point, then either one is coming or you need to secure yourself through by having what we call passive income. At this particular point, yes, because of high earning, you can actually intensify your retirement saving by actually investing more in your circle. Now, what are the disadvantage, or what are some of the mistakes we make at this particular point? Long-term obligation. And here I'm talking about mortgages. You take a mortgage and where it's like you're running for 25 years. And here, unfortunately, if you go at this particular point, if you go for a mortgage, they'll always give you not more than 20 years because most mortgages are maximum 60 years. So most people at this particular point have long-term financial obligation, which is a mortgage. And it means that at times you cannot be able to, you don't have the financial muscle to change one or two things. At this particular point, the reason why we call it, at this particular time, you're also in what we call the sandwich category. On one end, you have your aging parents, and on the other, aging and ailing parents, and on the other side, your kids are also need your attention in terms of school fees. What does it mean? Your kids are teenies, and on the other side, your parents are aging. And today, if I can ask here, we'll be able to find there are certain members here who are also paying, have put some allocation for medical aid for their parents every single month, me included as well. So you are also at this particular time, you don't have the muscle because also on this particular point, there's also what we call increased cost in terms of school fees. And the financial muscle is very minimal. But now, where we call it midlife stage, at this particular point, you face what we call midlife financial crisis. So midlife financial crisis means mahali ukifika, ukiangalia mbele, where you are going is closer than penye umetoka financially. And ukiangalia, you find that there are so many things you've not done. And when you look at your sources are not even going to increase unless you get into investment. So at this midlife stage, we also need to be very cautious in terms of how do we intensify our retirement savings, or how do we leverage on the circle to actually do our education planning for our kids. Then pre-retirement, that is the 50s and 60s. Here, your kids are already financially independent and these days we don't, our agencies can stay with us even when they have a lot of money and they are earning. So at this particular time, if you are lucky enough, you have financially independent kids. At this particular point, you're finalizing your retirement plans, like building your retirement home, your savings are your investment portfolio is well structured. And at this particular point, you should take less of active income and boost your passive income. Now, what are the downside of this or the mistakes we make? One, pending long-term obligation, hujamaliza mortgage, or there's something that you add and you have not done. Unmet financial obligation at this particular point. And unmet financial obligation means one, you are in your 50s and 60s na uko na mtoto mdogo anafika kwa magoti. Unmet financial obligation also mean at this particular time you don't have any retirement home. At this particular point, unmet financial obligation inamaanisha bado uko na loan or personal loan you've not paid. Now, at this point, there are also risk in terms of retrenchment because the companies feel at this point, most people are spent force or they are more expensive, and yet the companies can actually, or employer can actually get a cheaper resource. Then lastly, retirement, 60s and beyond, where you rely on passive income completely. You don't need to go and work for you to have income unless you're working for, pursuing your passion. And at retirement, we're talking about doing what you are passionate about. And here the question I've always asked is, what would you do if money was not what would you do financially or actively if money was not a problem? So at this particular time, you do what you're passionate about. And then minimal living expenses. What does it mean? At this point, you don't need to be renting. You don't need to be renting, meaning you are supposed to be either living in your retirement home because the city is not habitable to retirees. And why I'm saying this is because if you are renting and you are a retiree, there are chances that you'll not have a peaceful. First of all, ukiingia kwa matatu watakuwa napiga hizo matatu zinapiga kelele. Ukifika kwa nyumba, your neighbors wanacheza muziki, and with that you are not able to have a peaceful life. And that's why today, if you go to town or you go to Nairobi, you'll find many retirees are not within the city, within CBD as well, or they don't come to the CBD because the city is not habitable to retire. At this particular point, the mistakes we make is you invest a lot of money in assets or in illiquid assets. Umepewa pesa yako ya retirement, you decide to go and buy 10 acres of land, and you have nothing to eat or to no other source of income to feed on. Then challenges with comorbidities and where terminal illnesses as well, and longevity, where we're talking about living longer, and then legacy plan concerns where you've built businesses and none of your kids or none of your children want to take over. So because of time as well, I need to move with time. So then the second, we need to ask ourselves, how do I build? If that is the concern, Isaiah, how do I build wealth to secure my future, and how do I align my goals with my level of income? So the first thing we need to do, assess your current situation, define your goals, and then also you need to put action steps to reach those goals. Some of the sample financial goals here are pursuing college education. Maybe you want to go for your PhD or master's. You also plan for your retirement. It could be a retirement home. It could be your retirement benefits in terms of what you need to earn, purchasing a plot and building a home, buying shares, educating your child, and also perhaps even, I'll give an example, even building a passive source of income. Like let's say, for instance, building a car wash. So if you look at this, like this one, I've given an illustration in terms of assuming this was a financial goal, starting a car wash to generate you money as a source of passive income, then this is assuming it is worth 200,000 in terms of start and all that, to buy a machine, get a site, and make it, buy a tank and that pressure machine. So if the target is 200,000, then we look at it in terms of, okay, how long would it take me if I was actually contributing or saving towards it, if I was actually saving towards it. And again, if I was saving it for 1 year, that is 1 year, I'll need to be saving 16,700 1 year. So that, because it is achievable within 1 year, that's a short-term goal. But if I cannot do it within, if I can only do 5,600, meaning I can do it only within 3 years, then now I put that as a medium-term goal. However, if I can only do maybe 3,000 or even less than that, then I need to put it as a long-term goal. However, I need to put clarification here that we don't even need to save until you get the money. You can actually save some minimum, third, then you'll be able to actually leverage on the circle to be able to get that loan to build this business. So you don't need to wait until, like this case here, somebody who is able to do 3,000, 3,300, you don't need to wait for 5 years. Because let me tell you, today you may think about an idea and you procrastinate starting the idea. The next day you wake up, or even after some few weeks, you'll find that somebody had the same idea and did actually put the same business where you actually had a thought. Now, in terms of plan to action, there are 3 major plans. So there's actually supposed to be 4: budgeting, saving, borrowing, and investing. Those are 4. One is within your control, which is budgeting. And remember, goal without a plan is just but a wish. So what are the plans? So we start with what we call budgeting. And if you can see the screen here, I always put this trolley. A simplified way of learning budgeting is a trolley. And a trolley means if you go to a supermarket with a trolley, you only go to that place where it actually directs you where your money should go, or you direct the trolley where your money should go. What does it mean? I always give this example. When I was newly married, we agreed with my madam that our shopping was 10,000. So every end of the month, when I was paid, we could meet. We go in, and we get into a supermarket. My work was to push the trolley. Our work was to actually kuchukua na kuweka the goods. Unfortunately, every time we were back to the counter and the cashier is actually doing the calculation there in terms of how much we pay, it was almost going over the 10,000. The first time it went to 10,000, 15,000, I was like, hey, what is it? And I think you've also seen spouses fighting at the counter. So I was one of them. So it was like, let's wacha tuende nyumbani tutatatua. The second time we also got into the supermarket. Still, I carried the 10,000. Again, when we went to the counter, is around 12,000. We tried. The third time, I decided I was not going to. We went to the supermarket, but I then gave the 10,000 to her before I started pushing the trolley. During that time, that is the time I got to know that the cheapest cooking oil, because at this particular point, it was not about kuchukua na kuweka. She was very keen looking at the prices. That's why you've seen people quoting in supermarket to check the prices. And to shock you, by the time you go to the counter, it was 8,500. What does it mean? Budgeting is like a trolley. You show your money where it should go. Where should your money go? 50% of your money should go into your needs: rent, utility, transport, telephone, and food. 30%, these are maximum, 30% should go to your wants, a maximum of 30%. But you can actually boost your savings here. The 20% you can actually boost. So there's a way you can reduce your wants to be able to boost your savings. There's a way you can actually reduce your needs by maybe not renting, by working from home, to boost your savings. So this is just a budgeting principle that maximum of 50% should go to your needs. A maximum of 30% should go to your want, but at least 20% should go into your savings and debt obligation. Now, what did I learn during that time when we were pushing the trolley? That stick to your budget, then trim your expenses to save more, and then don't spend what you don't have. One of the challenges middle class we are facing today is most of us have credit cards that we do not need. We just have those credit cards to actually so that we belong. And today, even though those lower in the pyramid are suffering in terms of mobile loans, mobile debts, and all that, the middle class are actually suffering from what we call credit card loans. We're taking credit card. We don't need a credit. You don't need a credit card to be a manager. Yeah, you don't need a credit card to belong to be a manager or to be a CEO. And then number 4, take control of your expenditure. So when you take control of your expenditure, it means you must actually be determined to do that. Now, what are some of the personal financial management tools? You need to have a budget. You need to have a standing order. for all those payments that you actually do, whether it is towards school fees, towards emergency fund, towards your SACCO savings, towards your investment account and pension, you can only achieve that through a standing order. There's a way a standing order gives you a discipline. By the time you set a standing order, it deducts that money and wires to those particular accounts. And you also have to be determined for you to successfully make use of a standing order, because some of us, we put a standing order, but before it actually activates, you've already gone to pick the money. And I was one of those people who actually I was actually cheating a standing order. So we need to actually have a standing order to be able to manage our finances. But then we need to ask ourselves, now that we are members of a SACCO, how do we use debt to create wealth? And then how do I identify and keep off from bad debts? Yeah, debt is not bad. Debt is not bad, but how you use the debt is what will determine whether it is a bad debt or a good debt. Let's look at it from this. For instance, here, assuming you're a plot, and here I'm talking about a good debt is one that actually generates you more. It can either be generating you more in terms of value, can be actually generating you more in terms of the incremental income. So assuming that I wanted to buy a plot worth 300K, like I gave an example, and I joined the SACCO today, the first thing, remember, some of this, like buying a piece of land is not bad. What happens is you can actually be able to use it to be able to build an asset that you can actually sell in future, to maybe you dispose in future, to maybe buy other assets, or to dispose in future, maybe to boost your pension as well. So you can, like for instance, assuming today, I wanted to buy a parcel of land worth 300K, and I joined KMA SACCO as a new member. I'll need to ask myself, how long can it take me to actually save 100,000? Assuming it's 10 months, then it means, and this is what I did when I joined my SACCO the very first time. We joined 3 of us. We were still young men down there. And that time, the minimum was 1,000 bob. So my colleagues joined, they contributing 1,000. But then I came in, and during that time, the SACCO was actually selling parcels of land. So I joined in and I asked them, how long do I need to save? They told me you need to save at least a minimum of 6 months for us to give you, extend your loan. And then it was the loans were the parcels were actually going for 300. So I decided to actually contribute. Ask myself, how long will it take me to contribute 100,000? So I took like 10 months. By the time it was 100,000, they gave me a parcel, and now I actually decided to actually add 1,000. So it was 10,000 plus 1,000. So 10,000 would go towards paying the loan, but 1,000 would go towards the normal minimum contribution. By the time I was done with paying the loan, the parcel of land had actually increased in value. Meanwhile, my friends that we had actually joined with, they were still talking about they had actually contributed their total saving or deposit was at still 100,000, 80,000. But for me, by that time, my contribution, I had already purchased the plot, and I was now boosting my savings. So you can actually use the SACCO to actually build wealth by leveraging on what we call a good debt. But then, what is a bad debt? And let me make this apology for the members who have the blue Subaru. It was not intentional. I wasn't given any script. But picture this. A situation where somebody decides to buy a car worth 1.2 million. And let's look at it from an angle that the total loan repayment, maybe you've decided to finance it through the bank. And I decided a conservative figure of 14% through a bank loan, 14%. So by year 1, you would have paid 1.3, but the car value would be between 900 and 970. You've already lost almost 400K. Year 2, you would have paid a loan of 1.38. The car value would be around there. By year 4, you would have contributed 1.57 million, and the car value would actually be around 540, which means you've actually lost 1 million Kenya shillings. So a bad debt is a debt that makes you lose money. Like in this case here, you've lost 1 million. By year 4, you've already lost 1 million Kenya shillings. So this is a bad debt, and a bad debt is one that takes money from you. Now, so we need to actually leverage on the SACCO to actually build wealth or to create wealth by actually leveraging a good debt. Saving alone cannot make you wealthy. Saving alone cannot make you wealthy. Saving alone cannot make you wealthy. So that's why the SACCO is there to give you cheaper loans that you can actually be able to leverage on. But then we now need to ask ourselves, okay, how already are you prepared for retirement? Now that you already know how to create wealth. And then do you have any pending obligation, financial obligation? And I'll give an example here. Before I get in there, what are some of the things that you can actually need to have in place to know that at least you are more prepared? Number one, adequate medical cover. Number two, regular or passive income. And passive income means there are certain times you'll be very, very old that in a situation where you are not even able to go to work. And then you also have residential, you need to have a residential home. What does that mean? It means landlords are also not, they are not, I would say what? They are not more receptive or more human to most of the retirees as well. Then you need to have an investment or business that will also take your time. Remember, you can also be financially prepared, but you don't know where to go and burn that time. Because remember, loneliness kills. And then you also need to have, you need to be what we call, you need to have what we call debt free. You need to retire your debts before you retire. And then lastly, no pending financial obligation. So I talked about, when I was talking about pending financial obligation, there's something that I talked about. And here I talked about you have no retirement home. And then at the same time, you find that your kids are still young. And allow me to give an example here in terms of to the participant. Do me one. Let us do just a small quiz here, just for you to know whether do you have a pending financial obligation in regard to children education. Number one, what is the age of your current last born? Andika the age of write the age of your current last born, and then write the number of years you have to reach retirement. And we are making an assumption that most of our kids will finish college at the age of 25 years. So let me repeat. Let's do this once again. So age of your current last born, assuming the age of my current last born is 5 years, plus the number of years I have before I retire, which means, let's say, even assuming 18 years. So 5 plus 18, we are talking about 23. Now, this total summation, remove or subtract 25. So 23 minus 25 is -2. What that tells you is 2 years after I've retired, I will need to look for money for the next 2 years to be able to educate my last born to finish college. Let me repeat again for the members, for you to do the calculation yourself. What is the age of your current last born? Write down, then add the number of years you have to retirement. That total summation, remove 25. If you have a negative, it means those are the number of years you will spend after retirement trying to educate your kids. Now, if you have a positive, then you are safe. Assuming you have positive 5, it means 5 years before you retire, you will be done with your children education. And then if you have 0, then it means by the time you are retiring, that year you'll be retiring, you'll be done with your children's education. Now, because we are in a sensitive society, in a situation where you feel that that assignment or that puzzle is insensitive, please, you can actually ignore. Don't need to do it, because we are blessed differently. There are people who have been waiting for kids for a while. So we are not putting this to mock or to be insensitive. I'm quite clear that we do have those concerns. But for those who are free, age of your current last born, and remember, I've not said this is your last. Maybe you have other plans, but now you unajua hesabu. Age of your current last born plus the number of years you have to retire, meaning you have the number of years you have to reach the retirement age. That total summation, subtract 25 from it. If it gives you a positive, a negative, it means the negative will be the number of years that you'll actually toil after retirement to take that kid, to educate that kid to finish college. If it is a positive, it means the number of years. Let's say, for instance, you have 5 years. It means 5 years before you retire, assume you have positive 5, it means 5 years before you retire, you would have been done with your kids' education. And if it is a 0, it means that year you'll be retiring, your daughter or son will be completing college. So one of the retirement checklists is no pending financial obligation. And according to the latest survey report that was released by RBA, it says majority of people in retirement are still paying school fees. A number of them are still paying loans. A number of them, which is foodstuff and a number of them are still paying rent. So this, if you look at the first two are what we call unmet financial obligation. And the mere fact that a number of them, even rent, still paying rent, it means some of them have no retirement homes. I talked about 3 things. Unmet financial obligation means you are retiring and the kids have not graduated or not completed school. You have a loan you are paying, which is not fully settled. And then lastly, you are still paying rent, meaning you have no retirement home. So this was a survey that was done by Retirement Benefits Authority, and it showed that majority of retirees are still paying school fees. Now, there's something, if you look at the cost of education today, I always make this joke that when we were young, the only graduation was at the university. But today, graduation is everywhere. Nursery graduation, kindergarten graduation, preschool graduation, primary school graduation, junior secondary graduation, upper secondary graduation, tertiary graduation, and they're not less than 5,000. They're not less than 5,000. And if you look at here, in terms of fee, the fee is high. How will you afford this when you are a retiree trying to make ends meet? And remember, today, most of these private schools have come up with ways they can maximize their revenue. What does it mean? There's a day one of my neighbors here, they were told their kids were going to Dubai for a trip, and they were told to part with money. That time they were parting with around 100K. By the time the guy had already planned of how the kid will go with how he would afford the 100K for the kid, raise the 100K for the kid to go to Dubai. The teachers called them again and told them, you know what, we are receiving some pressure from parents who want to accompany their kids. So do you want your kid to go alone? Again, that is still a necessary pressure. So the guy had to go and look for another 100K because it is only your kid. The way they make it feel is like it's only your kid who will go alone. So the question is, assuming that last one, perhaps the Jaden, is in preschool, age 6 to 10. Their peers are going with their parents, 2 parents, 1 parent, 2 parents. Do you want Jaden to go alone? Or do you want to get to that? Do you want Jaden to go alone, or do you want one of the parents to accompany Jaden? Of course, you'll request for one of the parents to accompany Jaden. Looking at the school fees, education is becoming expensive. So by the time, having done the puzzle I've given you, you can actually be able to leverage on education policy from Atiba Insurance Agency, which is part of your subsidiaries here, to be able to see how you can actually have education policy now that you know that you have a negative. Anybody who has a negative should actually start planning for education policy. Some of the myths we do have that I can't outlive my retirement benefit. Sir Charles Njonjo lived for over 100 years. What about if God gave you another 40 years after retirement? That is longevity risk. Please, you need to plan adequately. Then number two, I can't be forced into early retirement. You can. Right now, AI is everybody's scare out there. And of course, it is actually the reality. And most people today, if you ask them, will you actually work until retirement? The survey that was done says majority guys of people are like, if I reach retirement in this company or when I'm still employed, I'll be lucky. Number three, I don't need a medical cover. That is a lie. And now that you're doctors, I know you are aware that the more you age, the more your immunity goes down. Number four, my children will take care of me. That one, with the agencies that we are parenting, unfortunately, that may not work. And then I can still work in retirement. This one here is a lie. Unless you want to work as a watchman, if you are a man, which you're baridi, that pneumonia will not allow you. So a survey that was done by Retirement Benefits Authority, and it said that a number of retirees still look at children as a source. Some of them, like for instance, that in terms of view of children financial assistance, 24 says they agree. Some of them say, I don't strongly disagree. And if you look at it, some of them are saying they disagree, but majority of us, we still want our kids to take care of us in retirement. Now, given that we will not work forever, how then do you generate passive income for your retirement? How do you leverage on the circle for your retirement planning? And then what investment options can you pursue for passive in retirement income? Assuming that you have a target of 3.5 million for your retirement, which a low amount actually gave for this demonstration. And assuming that the circle is paying dividend of 10% or rebates of 10% per annum. If you are saving with the circle for the next 40 years, assuming it gives 10% per annum, and you only need to save 550, that is bila kutoa, meaning the amount is compounded, meaning when dividends are paid, you don't cash out. You only need to do 550 for the next 40 years. If you look at that in total contribution, assuming we unakula umeamua that unakula dividend, you would have only contributed 264. But if you decide I'm not going to cash out, you will have your 3.5. Same, if, for instance, you want to save for the next 20 years to get the 3.5, you only need to save 4,570. And you don't cash out your dividend. But if you cash out your dividend, your total contribution or total saving will only be 1.09 million. And if it is 5 years, you only need to contribute 44,825, and you don't cash out, you'll be able to get your 3.5, assuming the circle gives a consistent return of 10% per annum. If you decide you are unakula dividends, then you'll have contributed 2.6, which is like you would have lost an opportunity of 900,000. So what does it mean? You can actually use your circle, leverage on your circle for your retirement planning. The moment you join today, you're like, by the time I'm done, in the next 20 years, I need to have 3.5. That 3.5, I'll be saving 4,570. I don't touch my dividends. And by the time after those 20 years, I'll have my 3.5. If in case you decide to cash out, then it means you'll only have 1 million. You'd have lost around 2.5. You can actually leverage on the circle for your retirement planning. Number two, you can actually be able to borrow money from the SACCO to create a certain passive income. Today, you don't need to build you don't need to build a mall to start earning rental income. You only need to look for a site where there's next to the road, where there's traffic. Then you can lease the land. So let's say, for instance, assuming you decide to borrow 1 million from the SACCO, and I'm looking at time, and that container up there is 500,000, and the container down there is 500,000. That is 1 million. You decide when you are walking, you see a parcel of land next to the road where there's traffic. Then you decide, I need to put some container shops around here. And assuming you're only charging 7,000 for every cubicle to anybody, to the shops or the business people who are renting, it means, and assuming that Mwenye Shamba needs 20K, it means you'll pay the owner, you'll be raising 10, or those are 10 cubicles, times 7, that is 70K. Subtract 20K for the plot, for leasing the plot, you'll have your 50K every month. You'll have your 50K every month. This 50 net of 50K, you can decide you pay the SACCO 30K or 20K, and you have your money. But again, you also need to know the risk of kanjo. Once you do your research well, and also things like rent default as well. But this is another passive income. People are going to the villages, or there are so many estates where there's no water. Today, you can actually go and do your assessment or your investigation in terms of how much can it cost to drill water and put a tank up there. So that at least the homes around there, you supply them with water. And then number two, you can actually buy those water tanks, water bowsers. They come and actually fetch water and they go and sell. Or you can also have a kokoteni there, plus vibuyu, you get vijana, they come and buy water from you. Or you can also have a water purifier next in there. You generate, every time you put the generator on, pumping water, there's some money coming. Then you can also decide to invest in government bonds if you have some source. But again, if I look at it from an angle, if your SACCO can give you a good rate, the challenge with government bonds right now is the government is having increased appetite. And that means, there's a concern that it can get to a point where the government may not be able to service those repayments. Now, as I get to close, now because we could be in that scenario where we are in a midlife crisis where penye unaenda is shorter than penye umetoka, and you have so many things you've not done. Their sources of income is also not, chances of income increasing is also minimal, especially in terms of your salary. So we are bound to engage in what we call risky ventures. So what are risky ventures? Number one, unsolicited stroke county tenders. Please, unless you know somebody at the county, don't invest in county tenders because they are not payable. You will not be paid. Then number two, unsolicited tenders are those tenders where someone calls you from nowhere. Isaiah, do you have a registered company? Yes. Can you bring, I want us to actually apply for a tender to build a road in Seme Samburu. Isaiah says, hey, I have a company. Yes, okay. Isaiah Enterprises. Then now please we'll get the document. After 2 weeks, Isaiah, guess what? We won a contract of building those rural roads worth 200 million. Then after a short time, Isaiah, guess what? We've been paid 200 million. But because I was not fully involved, the guy will call me and give me 2 million shillings because he used my document. Then he takes the 198 million, he buys apartments here in Nairobi. So ask yourself, when Kenya Revenue Authority comes in to look for their taxes, who will they look for? They'll be looking for you to tell them where the taxes went. because you are the owner of the company. When ethics and anti-corruption, or the what we call Auditor General, will be looking for you to come and show them ile barabara ulijenga ilienda wapi, you'll have nothing to show. That is why young people today are being arrested. Forget about unsolicited tender. Number two, new business ventures, especially if you are towards retirement. I have had cases where someone retires and decides to open hardware, and he buys cement bags of cement, 100 of them. Then because the sales are not quick enough, because he's still new to this business, after a month or two, when he goes to check the store, he finds all the bags are now, they're now stones. So when you are a new business venture, you can actually start them when you are still employed, so that ikianguka, you still can survive on your salary. Number three, illiquid plots, like the one I talked about. Isiolo, you come from Kakamega, you're buying a plot in Isiolo. It will take you time before you go and buy. And I totally can confess here, there are many of us who have those undeveloped plots. And the last time you checked, after the price had not even increased. And in fact, the price price increase in most of the plots around Nairobi is around 5%. Then number four, betting. There are people who are addicted to betting on the basis that they feel betting is a source of income. And this is also dangerous because it can actually lead to addiction, which can also lead to mental health issues. Then capital intensive investment, where you go and buy 10 million, you go and borrow 10 million from the SACCO to start an investment that you've never done before, which is capital intensive. You want to start a manufacturing company, and you've never done even research to know that it doesn't, there are so many certifications that are required. We need. And then lastly, monkey business. Monkey business are those businesses that have a lot of euphoria, and everybody's talking about them. Like, hey, during today there have been a number. One, there was Desi, then there was Quail business, then there was Mkojo ya Sungura. Today we are talking about one called Forex, Forex trading, and then crypto. Because you need to ask yourself, I know I love divergent views here, but you need to ask yourself, why is it that Capital Markets Authority and Central Bank have never embraced crypto up to this particular point? Those should be certain concerns that you need to have with you. Then lastly, when I talk about investment in a strategic plots, this is how it starts. This is my last slide. I know a number of us here, we've congregated around Kencom and seen this kind of vehicles taking people for sightseeing. I always make a joke that watu wa Potea Pata are no longer in downtown. They are in lands. And what does it mean? You'll find these vans. In every van, there is a coach, somebody who has been coached. I don't want to say a coached witness, but a coached buyer. That coached buyer, his work is to give you excitement. So they put each of them in, one of them in each of these vehicles, they put one. And the work is to engage you. I'm like, hey, young man, Opio, how are you? I'm fine. Hey, I wish I was in your age, man. I would have invested this, but it's not late. So they actually excite you to a point where you get so excited to purchase the plot. By the time you get to the plot, so one of the key things they do, if it is a remote place, they go and erect a signboard saying University of Nairobi coming soon, or another university coming soon. When you go there, you are like, this is it. This is a prime area. Number two, they make sure by the time you reach on the ground, guys will be like, an acre goes for 1 million Kenya shillings. And in an eighth go for 1 million Kenya shillings. Guys are like, yes, I need that one, I need that one, I need that one. So you find yourself isolated because the guys who are coached are now making you feel uneasy. Then you find yourself also buying a plot as well. the next thing they'll do, they'll actually go and remove the mutation. Without the mutation, you cannot even take a loan against that parcel of land. So the guys, and then when they are there, they issue things that show like a title deed, things that look like title deed, papers that look like title deed, and they issue them to some of the members there. Well, you guys are there, and interestingly, they provide refreshment. If you kifika kwa ground, kuna nyama choma, tent, music, you are like, this is it. By the time you are done, the next time you're coming to that plot, unapata signboard ilitolewa, unapata Masai mwingine anachunga hapo, ukimuuliza kwambia hello, mtu akikugonga hapa takuwa na eka moja 250,000, and you don't see anything like basic amenities around there. So next time, that is why it is advisable to buy a plot through the SACCO, because through the SACCO you can influence where the SACCO buys plots. So that if the SACCO want to buy a plot in a remote area, you can actually tell them we don't want those plots in those remote areas. But going to buy plots from Opio and Kamau properties, you'll find yourself in a remote area that is either disputed or that has no amenities and overpriced. Then we need to take the next, we need to prepare for the next exit. And that exit is retirement. So the next exit as you drive will be retirement. And with those few remarks, in case you need support from the SACCO, these are the contacts for finance, SACCO insurance, especially insurance. I talked about education policy. You can actually get in touch with them as well. And with those few remarks, let me return it back to Dr. Chow. Asante, Dr. Chow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Opio, for the presentation and preparing us well in our retirement. I'm sure all here in this group, we are in different stages of the different stages you gave. So members, if you have any question, you can write in the Q&A or in the chat. And also if you really need to talk, then you can raise your hand. So there are we have some few here. There is no name, but he says, many young professionals in their 20s and 30s take on debt, sometimes even bad debt, like high interest loans to settle family obligations or black tax. What strategies will you recommend to a balance supporting family while avoiding long-term financial setbacks from such debts? So maybe, Opio, you can take that.
Down, I've written down.
Okay, then the next one, thank you. So is Dr. James Irere is appreciating. Could you touch a bit about possible pension companies one can save in if they are self-employed? And then second part of the question is kindly shed light on how life insurance works, considering it is a viable financial benefit for left children or families. Then on this Q&A, we have Dr. Christine asking, could you shed some light on post-retirement medical fund savings? How do they work and what are the pros and cons? So maybe you can take that and then now we go to our next set of questions. So let's continue typing our questions or any clarifications we need in the Q&A and the chat box. So karibu Opio.
Okay. Asante sana. So let me start with the first question. Yes. One of the things that I would appreciate today, young people, whenever you tell them about delayed gratification, they don't believe in delayed gratification. And that's why the last time Retirement Benefits Authority wanted to put some penalties for withdrawal premature withdrawal, they actually said no. For them, they want to access the money. They want to access them. Today, you can actually access your contribution but you have to pay it as the tax applicable will be like a payee. Like for instance, assuming today I'm to part ways with my employer, so assuming we had a pension scheme, they can only be able to give me my part of the contribution, which is the 50% of that entire amount. Then they'll subject it to a payee. So when the government, when RBA wanted to do away with that partial withdrawal, they said no. So what does it mean? For them, they don't believe in delayed gratification. And what does that mean? The banks have taken advantage of that. Why? You'll find that the banks are ready to give them personal loan. Today, I'll tell you, in most companies today, there are people who are working every day to come and ask, do you need a personal loan? I remember there's a time they came to our office and they gave almost everyone a credit card, even the people who never needed credit cards. So banks don't mind when they are financing a lifestyle, those kind of unsustainable lifestyle. And so that's why this kind of session is very important for us to gain financial literacy, because your employer, that is none of his concerns. So we need to take into consideration financial literacy is very important. You don't need a credit card for you to belong as a manager. You don't need. Black tax, we are Africans. Best way to minimize, or the best strategy to minimize black tax, especially for those kin or brothers and sisters who have an opportunity to work, is to take them to school. And if not taking them to school, you can help them secure jobs so that they don't depend, or if they're not able to secure jobs, you can actually help them start a business so that they can fend for themselves. But I know at this particular point, some of our parents are aging, and we are African in terms of socialization. You will not be sitting pretty here in Nairobi when your mom analala njaa huko nyumbani. Inwardly, you'll feel some bit of guilt. So in a society where we are, unlike in the US, they don't care whether the parent is, in fact, they don't believe in this black tax thing. So black tax, but how to minimize it? Empower people who surround you. Because at the end of the day, you can have your mansionette in the village, but your brothers and cousins are not empowered. You will not have access to that house. You will not be safe even in that house. Then number two, pension schemes for employed people. This is what we call individual pension plans. So today you can go to the RBA website, because I also need to, I don't need to, because I need to be more neutral. And I know you have an agency here that can actually advise you, TIBA. TIBA can actually advise you even in terms of how to access those individual pension schemes. So please get in touch. I gave the contact here as well. At the back here, you can actually be able to get in touch with them. Sorry, you can actually be able to get in touch with the insurance here, and it's good. They can actually give you one, or they can actually recommend one that you can actually join. So there are those pension schemes that you can actually join. We call them individual pension plans, IPPs. You can actually join, make your contribution, because some of them call the umbrella. So it is actually formed by the insurance, but people come from different backgrounds to actually join. How can we use life insurance as part of our personal financial planning? Today, and this is a challenge maybe to the SACCO team here. If it is not there, then you can think about it. The SACCO where I am a member, today, if you die, your beneficiary will get twice your total savings and deposits. So assuming you're already saving 10 million, and you have not retired yet, and by bad luck, God calls you home, your family members will get 20 million. Number two, in a situation where you had a loan, they'll actually be able to write off that loan. From where I sit, if your SACCO is able to have, or should they be having that in place, then you don't need a life insurance plan or out there. You can actually leverage on the circle to be able to get that. Because assuming it's even you are even planning, if for instance your target is 5 million or you already have 5 million, instead of taking some money to go and pay premium for life insurance, of which you can only benefit when your members can benefit when you are deceased, if your circle has this plan in place, then it means you can just channel all that savings to your circle, and should God call you home prematurely, your members will get twice your total deposits and savings. Then post-retirement medical, yes, I know they are right now around 5, but in the interest of time and also for neutrality, if you go to retirement benefits, what do you call it? Retirement benefits website, you'll be able to get a number of them. I know NWealth is there. I know there are around 5 companies that have been approved to offer that post-retirement medical cover or medical plan. And each of them, they have different requirements. So I would actually still advise, because TIBA insurance agency being part of the group can also be able to not only source the one for you, but also get one that can actually meet your interest as well. But should you want to do it yourself, jump into the website of Retirement Benefits Authority. You'll be able to get a lot of information regarding them. But I know one is called NWealth. NWealth actually has one with one of the local insurance companies. Daktari, another set of
Thank you.
questions?
Yes, please. Thank you very much for that. Let me go this other side in the chat so that then I come back to the Q&A. So Dr. Elisha had actually said buying a car is not a bad debt, especially for its valuable investment for easy and reliable mobility. Dr. Sophia supported. We've talked about business, medical business. Dr. Jeffrey is asking, talk about investment in medical business. Then Dr. Elisha is asking, what are the investment opportunities in our medical practice? Apparently, most of us deviate to other fields like agriculture, land, matatus, and other non-medical investments. Then I think that one is a question. Then Dr. Mina says, can MMF be used instead of education policy as a means of saving for children's education? Then Dr. Kevin says, what's the take on mortgage? What's your take on mortgage? Then Dr. Hazel is giving...
So
yes.
Doctor, allow me to save you time by just reading them. I can actually read them here one by one, so that at least I also save you the stress. So let me start from up here, and I'm going to be very brief in the interest of time. Let me start with, Dr. Kwisa Kirwa, that is Elisha Kirwa. For a doctor, buying a car is not a bad debt. Yeah, let me put this disclaimer. If the car can help you generate more, and in this case, I don't expect a doctor to be running around, or you want to move from Aga Khan, from Mpisha Avenue, Matatu will be so chaotic. So at that particular time, buying a car is not a luxury. It is actually a valuable way of mobility. So that one I agree. Sophia says, I agree. My first circle loan was a car, multiple jobs and masters as well. Yeah, so the car can actually help you navigate. But if you're just buying it for laxity, for convenience only without it in generating anything, then it is a bad debt. Of course, you've seen the amounts I've actually shown in there. Okay. Then talk about investment in the medical business. Now, in the medical business today, I know this one has been spoken. There's what we call home care, and home care means you are able to identify people who are retiring, and then you actually offer to them consultation, or even the ones that are already bedridden, and you actually you start an outfit that can send to them nurses to take care of them, and they can actually be able to pay one maybe in maybe in the terms of the number of days as well. And also in this medical business as well, there are people whose parents are retired back home. I would want a situation where there's a doctor that passes or a nurse that passes and sees my mom every 2 weeks or every month, every that. So those ones are also things that you can also think about. Then also medical diagnostic facilities as well. And I think that one you guys are aware. There's also medical tourism as well, which I know most of you guys are aware, where someone needs to go to India or maybe for medical purposes, you prepare him and take care of, even plan for their flight and everything, accommodation and everything from here. So that is also an opportunity that you can actually venture into. Then also lastly is also training and capacity building as well. That is also an area. But those are the few that I can actually give, considering that I don't have any background in terms of the medical background. Then what are the investment opportunities? I've already spoken about medical practice. And apparently most of us deviate to other fields, e.g. agriculture, land, matatus, and other non-medical investment. So I know you could be a medic. Today, most of us, if we are asked, if money was not an issue, would you be doing what you're doing today? And majority of us would say no. So diversification is good because one, you can now pursue what you are passionate about. And also for diversification, so that at least if one area is not doing well, you can actually be able to 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 succeed in another or leverage on another. But as you do this, or as you venture into these investments, like agriculture, forget about what we call telephone farming. It is not advisable. In terms of land is just to actually for capital appreciation or to store your money. For matatu business and other risky ventures, please, you need to, as a doctor as well, you need to check your medical, your BP, blood pressure, and pass by a chemist and have your Losatas HT you have with you before you venture into matatu business, because interestingly, you're bound to encounter pressure, especially for things that you've never done before. Can MMF be used instead of education policy as a means of saving for children education? Yes, it can, especially if you have discipline. Discipline means the accessibility of money market fund, because remember, some of them give 24 hours or others give 12 hours. So because of that flexibility in terms of liquidity, it is very hard to consistently save with MMF for the next 10 years without being tempted to withdraw. Number two, it doesn't give you the insurance component. Where the education policy comes in is, in case you die, then your kids will be taken care of. But MMF, there's nothing like that. So that is why education policy comes in handy than MMF. You can actually also reach out to the TIBA group. I mean, the TIBA Insurance Agency, they'll also be able to give you even more regarding the benefits, again, as MMF, because I think they also have some good knowledge. What is your take on mortgage? Now, mortgage has been a tricky one on two aspects. Number one, the banks that give mortgages, and one of the findings, if we get time for this another session, we'll have a session to discuss why mortgage financing is not the best financing for residential properties. But today, in terms of mortgage, you can actually go to Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Commission through your SACCO. I don't know whether your SACCO is a member, but you can get cheaper loans, especially if you've never owned a home. If you never owned a home, you can actually be able to do that. But now you can reach out to your SACCO. I think they must be having partnership with KMRC. Or a mortgage, why I am not really, I'm very conservative about it. Mortgage is a good way of owning a home because now your rent goes towards payment of the house. But on one end, in an unstable economy where job security is not guaranteed unless you're working for government, it becomes very tricky because along the way, perhaps you're bound to lose your job, and the insurance, the bank will come and take their, sell the asset, and you find yourself more, more, more worse. And then lastly, today, if you look at the way the market is readjusting, those people who bought properties back then 20 years ago, if they look at the property value today, you find the property value today are more attractive, slightly affordable. And that means even at this particular point, you can actually leverage on opportunities like off-plan only if you are a risk taker. There are people who have owned homes through off-plan. Of course, it comes with a lot of risk, and it's much better or cheaper way than a mortgage. A mortgage is a long-term obligation that requires stability in regard to your source of income. Yeah, am I allowed to disagree with the labeling crypto? Yes, that one I agree. I mean, we are in an open society. Those were just my views. Uh, am I allowed to disagree? Yes, you are allowed labeling crypto. My concerns were like, if CBK and CMA are still very conservative about it, then we just need to be very reserved until that time that they'll have approved. But if you have high risk, if you are a risk taker, you can actually jump in. It's an open door, but I would actually give reservations. The fact that it has become a major discussion point, yeah, eventually I know it will come down here. But anything that you can't understand fully, today, there's a time Central Bank Governor said, please try to explain cryptocurrency to a mama mboga. And the guys who are fumbling are like, if you can't explain it to a mama mboga, then it becomes difficult even to explain to a potential investor out there. I know there are people who are willing to jump that. You can actually try only if you are a risk taker. Okay, I'm being told here, please remind members we have a deposit insurance that's already there. So you can actually use that deposit insurance as well to be able to leverage on it as an insurance or life insurance plan. Hello, please share the PowerPoint on email. You're going to be given by the SACCO. Are offshore mutual funds better than investing in local in Nairobi? Yes, I know. Those ones that are offshore, we call them what? Special funds. Anytime you're investing, please invest in understanding the investment first. I know we have offshore mutual funds out there. And here he says, are offshore mutual funds better than investing in local Nairobi Stock Exchange? So if you invest in Nairobi, I know many market funds are also being regulated by Nairobi, by Capital Markets Authority. So the mere fact that they're offshore, sometimes it becomes very tricky to understand the way the global market works. And so the people who are going to sell to you will sometimes try to use jargons like, hey, please note this. There was a Ukraine, Russia war, things that you may not really be more aware of. Yeah, so any investment is good as long as you look at your risk tolerance and then you invest more in understanding the investment. Let me come down here as well. Okay. Bro, I didn't talk to doctors, I talked to common mwananchi. Okay. I don't
I
expect.
think he's just giving his opinion, but
Okay.
I'm sure here we are just I had said we are the slide you showed that we are different stages in our retirement journey. So I guess
Yeah.
we have learned either way depending on which level we are at. So
Okay.
I think there's still Dr. Andrew who says that mm, why are you so worried about government securities? What do you know? Oh, what do you know that we don't know? And then
Okay.
Dr. Ghana appreciates, saying that thank you very much for key information and for breaking it down really clearly. Then maybe you can say if there's anything you know which we don't know, so
Okay.
that we see. But
We sum it up.
I'm seeing comments are coming down that members are really appreciating the talks, saying that the determined planning, it was actually needed. We still
So,
have some questions in the Q&A.
okay. So let
Or
me
maybe
do
you
the.
can,
Go
yes.
ahead. Go ahead. Go
Yes.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was saying maybe you can
Answer
address it,
that.
or maybe let me just read the other one so that you just
Okay.
comment through. Will you
Okay.
recommend taking a SACCO loan to invest in MMF? And then
Okay.
is an endowment fund a worthy investment? And then the
Okay.
second last one is, what about online trading in derivatives or forex? Seems to have
Okay.
promising returns. Then the last one, which I think you have actually addressed some of it, was, where does setting up clinics and hospitals among doctors fall regarding investments and risk assessment? The idea is to take a loan to start a clinic and work in the setting to pay it off over a number of years. So maybe you can answer that. And I'm assuming this will be our last set of questions. The others which are coming in, they're just appreciation messages. So Karibu Pio and take us
Okay.
answer the last set of questions.
Okay. So let me start with the first one, about government securities. Personally, I've invested in bonds. But when I saw government coming back in terms of there's even a new bond in the market, I think it must be a tap sale. One, it is. I know this may be look political. Because the rate at which the government is actually borrowing from the domestic market is very tricky, is very high. I saw Equity was actually moving away. I don't know what they know, that they want to focus on giving loans to common wananchi. I know there are banks who are actually coming in because the NPL rate in the industry is around 17%. If government can give them 13%, well and good. I know Stanbic also had some concerns. They decided to discount or sell, reduce the exposure in terms of government security. So where I am concerned about government securities is currently the government wants to sell Kenya Pipeline and some entities there to raise funds. And this raising funds is not for any not for development, but to bridge the deficit in actually in the budget. Now, remember, as this is going on, the government is also still borrowing through in terms of in terms of in terms of bonds. And I'm fearing that it can get to a point where the government is not able to actually meet their debt obligation in security. This is not to mean that the government is not stable. No, this is not a political. This is not a political comment. My concern is the appetite at which government is doing that. Because when the current CS came in, it was like, why is government borrowing heavily from the domestic market when at high rates, when they should be able to normalize or even borrow cheaply? Today, when I look at the bonds that have been released in the market, some of them are high and some of them are tap sales. Majority of them tap sale. And tap sale here, I'm talking about the ones that were there before and now have been reopened once again. SACCO loan to invest in MMF. Oh, I would say instead of if you are taking SACCO loan to invest in MMF, you need to ask yourself, what do you want? If MMF is giving you good rates, I've seen certain MMFs are giving 13, around 12 compounded, and maybe the SACCO is not giving you good rates. But of course, remember, the SACCO is gonna charge you 1% per month. Plus, the SACCO is also going to charge you processing fee. If you add 1% plus the processing fee, it's going to be more than what the MMF can actually generate you, if you ask me. If the SACCO is giving good rates, there's no need of taking your money to MMF. Because when you take to MMF, taking the SACCO loan, you'll have to pay processing fee. After paying processing fee, which is actually going to increase in terms of the cost of the loan, then besides that, they'll be charging 1% per month. If you do it averagely, it's like almost 12. Endowment fund, endowment fund is also good, but very few organizations are offering it. I'll also refer that we engage with the TIBA insurance agency. That's why they are there. And then lastly, online trading and forex, that the rates are good. If today people were to sit out there and confess in regards to what they have, their testimony in terms of online forex trading, watu wengi watatoa machozi. People never come. The only people who come out and to tell you that I'm doing well are the guys who are trading. I've never seen them say the following guys we've generated, go and ask this and this and this guy. And what you don't understand, please don't invest in what you don't understand. Now, lastly, when God gives us an opportunity in future, we'll discuss how do you manage midlife financial crisis? And then lastly, also how why is a mortgage not a viable financing instrument for rental properties? So meaning, why is it that I cannot take a mortgage from the bank to finance a property and let it be paid back with the rent? For the guys who want my contact, my contact is 0725 88 2218. Let me repeat again, Isaiah Opio, 0725 88 2218. I train for Retirement Benefits Authority part-time. I also train circles. I also train organization on areas of personal financial management. My apologies, I was trying to put my camera on. I don't know why it has not showed up. That is not a very good sign. But next time, I'll try to improve on that. Daktari, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Pio. There was the last question where Daktari was asking about setting up clinics and hospitals among doctors fall. Where does it fall regarding the investment and risk assessment? The idea is to take a loan, then start a clinic and work in the setting to pay it off over a number of years. So maybe if you can briefly answer Daktari, because we actually time bound, so that now, yes.
So Daktari, if you go to the counties today, I'll give an example. In Homa Bay County, I remember, let me not put Homa Bay County because it looked political. In one of the counties, in most of the counties here, you'll find that they don't have basic diagnostic instrument or equipment. Somebody is being sent to a county, go and get this test and all that. If you can have that within a county, let's say you establish it within one county, and the only challenge that comes with that is if you're going to rely on SHA, chances of delayed payments are likely to be high, but you can actually rely on cash. And first of all, go and assess the market. And if you can also build a model like the one that has been built by Transchem, where the medicine is quite affordable, because again, also in the counties there are certain medicines that are not there. So if you can also be able to open maybe facilities like pharmacies out there that you don't retail, but you can also wholesale to the nearby chemists as well. So yeah, so you can actually do that. But what you can do, you need to assess the market very well. Assessing the market means what are some of the tests that people are being sent to Nairobi, and then you're able to establish facilities around those areas that do not have those kind of tests. So you can actually take a loan but pay at the initial point, you'll be paying using your main source of income. Then hapo mbele, then the business can actually be able to assist you to pay. I've seen contacts. My number is 0725 882218. Eunice will also share 0725 882218. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Opio, for your time, and for members also taking time to join. And as Eunice has said, the contacts will be shared through email. So don't worry, you can always reach out to him anytime. And as we wind up, and before I invite our Vice Chair, Dr. Brenda, members, I just want to encourage you that we continue taking loans, because this is the only way we can grow our dividends. As it was earlier presented by our credit manager, Elizabeth, we have so many products now we can reach out to, and with a very good payment plan, with a multiplier which is very affordable for all of us. If you want a mortgage loan, it's available at 13%. We want a home loan, the same thing, it's available for us. So at this point, let me invite our Vice Chair, Dr. Brenda, so that she can sum it up for us and close it for us. Dr. Brenda, please welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chow, and thanks for the really good moderation. Isaiah, we are grateful that you're able to make time to extend some knowledge to us. We'd like to also thank the membership for making time for these education platforms that we have ongoing every month. And we're also planning to make them more frequent so that we have more and build up our financial literacy as members. We take home the lessons from this particular session, and we hope that that will translate to us patronizing our product well and also saving more as a membership, as we grow our circle and as we grow ourselves in the communities we live in. Members, kindly note that the recording is available, will be availed, will be sent to the emails through which you registered. We will also have it on the YouTube channel. And there's a survey at the end of this that we welcome you to fill so that we're able to get your feedback, both on the member education forums and also on the products and SACCO services. Asanteni sana to everyone and have a good night.